All right, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to Saturday recap. We're doing this live, but first, a message from my amazing advertising team. All right, so we are so how to be up 32,800 GNS, how to stay disciplined and patient for my next home run trade. Actually, in this video, we're gonna discuss how I actually traded this week. I trade mostly every day, and I wake up at 7, look at the pre-market scanner, and I pretty much try to make an amazing trade. I'm getting a haircut soon, so bear with me now, because my hair has no gel, so that's gonna be a surprise to some of you seeing no gel. Anyway, so how to be up 32,800 bucks in a week? Actually, it was one day a trade and then the next one. So I'm gonna break you through my process of finding stocks and how I pretty much trade. I have a time window in which I trade between 7 o'clock in the morning and like 11. Sometimes I stay after 11 and I trade after 11 in the chat room. Some and I do watch the market until pretty much 6 o'clock p.m. So even on my phone or even in the trading live. So we're gonna look at breaking down every single trade. I'm sure you guys are excited for me to talk about GNS, but sadly you're gonna have to go through the process. So each day I look at the pre-market gapper, which you can purchase below, part of my pre-market scanner. And looks like here today, and right over here, you can see I'm circling DCFC. Over here had a 4.71 million volume this morning, and the CLXT had an 8.8 million volume this morning. So I usually color coded the volume each day. If it has, more than what I'm looking at, I want to see where. So the first question I have is I want to see like where everybody's going, what everybody's trading, and how excited is each ticker. The more volume in each ticker, I know the more eyes are on it, the more volatility. So right at the bat, I look at CLXT and it was up 144%. And then I go through the list, and then DCFC, I also see it on the list. Sadly, there were not that many over 30%. I try to not trade when stocks are not gapping up more than 30%. That's just my personal rule. But in this case, we had two tickers that are over 30%, and I took my stab at it. Um, first one is CLXT. CLXT is a 26, 23 million float. Up on merger news, nice gain, top gainer, higher float. CLXC insiders are 52%. So I always look at the insiders over here, held by insiders 52%. So that's something I look at. Actually, if I were gonna show you some mouse clicks here, I don't know if I'm allowed to CLXT, I'm allowed to do some downtrends. Maybe if I were gonna look at this downtrend, so I was looking at 7:30. Actually, at 7 o'clock there was a major stuff here. Sometimes, usually on the first day of the week, there's not much moving before 8 o'clock. I don't know, people just don't wake up. But in this case, it was an unusual case. Most of the time at 8 o'clock, it's 7 o'clock is just nothing moving in the first day of the week. But this day was different because CLXT was moving, so it gapped up. It had a this VWAP reclaim of 33 cents and ran to 55. I could have technically taken some long, probably around the VWAP reclaim around the 35-ish range and sold at 55. That would have been a huge, huge, huge gain. If not, that would definitely nice range, 33 to 55 or 30 to 55. That is 30 to 55. That's a 50% range from lows to highs. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at stocks that have range. My best, you can see so here. My best buy was 30,000 shares at 49, and I sold it at 53.4. So the stock went up like this. It broke pre-market highs, right about there, and then consolidated around VWAP, which is fine, and then broke the highs over here at 48. That is kind of like where I was trying to buy it at 40, 48. And then it kind of chopped me around a bit a couple times. You can see that I was buying CLXT at 48 and then selling at 47. So I lost 200 on that, and then I made 1,049 to 50, 53.4. So I made 4.5 cents on 30,000 shares. So that would be 1,200 minus 200. That's like 1,000 day. So that was kind of like what I did on it, 1,000 day, and moved on to the next one. CLXT was insiders 51%, so it pretty much became like a gap and crap. And soon enough, that's exactly what happened to the next ticker I traded, DCFC. So we were in a somewhat of a gap and crap. The thing I didn't really understand about DCFC here is that DCFC, on my what is it, trade idea scanner, the stock had 34 million point two in shares of float. You can see so here, and you can see so here insiders are 78%. So, but if you come over on FinViz, you can see that the float is like 90 million. So that changes the whole dilemma of the story because in my mind of spreadsheets, usually stocks that are gapping up 100%, they have or 80, if in my mind between 70 to 80, 70 to 100% gainers that have a float close to 100 million, they just end up selling off. So that threw me off because if DCFC was a 34 million float, it had potential to run and break this to 230 and run higher, but the float, if you look on Finviz, the float is about a 90 milli float, so it's three times the float. So that pretty much changes the whole dilemma of the story. If the float is three times as high, it's just not gonna perform. It's gonna perform three times less, kind of like that. But so it gapped up 50% and sold off. I took my first long. This candle got me surprised. So I was buying the pre-market highs of 315. Ended up going absolutely nowhere, and it broke this uptrending support. And I was up from 215 up to 229. I was up on the DCFC. At one point I was up like 10 cents on 5,000 shares, so I was up $500 in this whole thing here, but sadly, I didn't take it. I thought it was just gonna, go up higher, but it didn't. Good thing I sold it for flat. But, I don't like shorting 50% gainers. I don't short 50% gainers. That's the rule that I have because it can flip on you at any time. So in this video is just all about consistency, all about taking money out of the markets and having a very low stress life. The next day is Wednesday. OTRK did trade, and that was on sympathy. I can see so here that I looked at my top gainers, and actually, sadly, there was nothing under 30%, so nothing over 30%. So that's pretty much crappy because if tickers are not over 30%, it's just not going to be enough volatile for me to make money. So OTRK came into my scanner play, my pre-market scanner play, which you can find in the description below that I alerted in my private Discord. And in during my private Discord live streams, this OTRK came into my radar, and my first long on it was around 78, 79 actually. This is the first 1 minute, second 1 minute, and I actually bought this downtrend break around 70. I put an order to buy it at 80. You can see so here, buy 14,000 shares at 08. I actually got filled at 78. So I got really nice fills at 78 right there before we had this 80 break. So I got instant fills on that because in this candle right about here, if you were gonna look at it, I don't know if you can see my cursor over here, but that's the cursor. So I took my 20% from 78 to about 90. 78, 80 to 92, actually 96. That's 20%. From 80 to 96, that's 20%. And then it actually hovered and it gave a really nice downtrend break at around 95 cents. I didn't manage to get in on that. And then it pretty much hit 110. I didn't really chase it after that. It definitely had a amazing chart. And this is a nice chart. It's one of those charts that, the float was pretty good. It was a 16 milli float. The volume was good. And it had a really nice textbook breakout of 90 cents. So obviously this was the resistance of 90 cents. The next logical resistance is 168, and that is actually the high that it pretty much double topped at amazingly throughout the day. And that would have been a day, that would have been an area to short the daily resistance. That is that is a ticker that you might want to put into your short the daily resistance right about there, 168, because as you can see in my next slide here, it's hit 165, and technically if I shorted this 160 level, I would have been up, I don't know, like 40 cents on this, but I wasn't around to profit from this daily resistance setup. I tried to nail tops and I tried to nail beginnings. That's kind of like what I do here. But soon enough, it was a $1,800 day, and that was a good trade. And sadly, I didn't buy it at all. After that, it was just I did my base hit. Actually, what is it, like 10% is a base hit, 20% is a base hit. No, no, 10% is a base hit, 20% and higher is a no, it's a home run. 20% and higher is a home run. 10% is a base hit, and 10 cents you're just in a shitty market. That's kind of like the rule that I have in my brain. 10 cents you're just in a shitty market. If you're having trouble making 10 cents, you're in a shitty market, and it's either A, take a break, or B, you're just you know just gonna you're just gonna put that battery level to empty, and then you're gonna have to restart. So moving on to Thursday, GNS, you can see so here that the gainers were just not that interesting. Nothing over 30%. I think XRTX was up 55%. APGN was up, I don't know, 35%. GNS, whatever. Um, Overall, the only ticker that I did trade was GNS. I did trade. Unfortunately, the time that I did wake up which was around 7 o'clock in the morning. I woke up with like a nightmare because I think it was kind of I don't know. There's sometimes I do wake up with a nightmare and I just don't trade that day. And I don't know, it's just a habit I do. So GNS here, the problem with GNS is that the thing as you were trading it, it was very difficult to trade because it went up and then it just almost felt like it lost all its gains at one point. You can see so here that from 59 up to like 66 and then right back down to 59 or 60. So it almost lost, I don't know, like I don't know, like 80%, 70% of its gains in this move here. And then it moved right up to like 75, right back down to 65. So and then that's a 20% loss. Say you bought that high. So and then move all the way to up to 80, back up to here. So my first long, it was at 65 over here technically, and then I sold it at 63 because I just, moved from 59 to 65 and then loses, I don't know, to me, if it loses 70% of its spike, it was pretty freaking bearish to me. So it didn't really have that much volume to begin with. And then we had this humongous pop here, which I did relong. I did relong at like 70. I don't know if I did relong it. I did. I was buying it at, let's see, I was buying it at 65, sold 62.5. Was buying it at 66, and then I sold at 70. So I did make about like $400. I did lose about $200, and then I did manage to lose another $200. So overall on my buying, GNS has been terribly awful considering the fact that GNS is a 50% insiderly owned. My best long was around right about here at 71, and then I was sitting. I don't know. To me, how I traded it, whenever I tried to buy it, immediately I was down on my position. So my timing on it, I bought it here, I bought it here, and then I bought it here. So I bought it like 3 times, and I felt uncomfortable being red on the ticker, and I was uncomfortable sitting for, I don't know, 15 minutes. This is a 15-minute time span in which I'm sitting with a red position. You can see so here, but as you can see so here, 67 is a daily breakout over here from, I don't know, November 20 something here. So it actually consolidated right above the 67 breakout area. And it did that for like 15 to like 20 minutes, actually a whole hour, if I'm not mistaken, a whole half an hour from 8:30 up to 8:55. And then it pretty much just blasted off to the first push to like 85, and then came back down to VWAP here, trapped some shorts, and I mean, it was very hard for you to trade this long because there were tremendous amount of traps, short traps. Because to me, as a trader, when I buy something and it goes up and then loses 60% of its value, that's bearish. So the insiders knew exactly what they were doing and how to manipulate the ticker for you to make you feel like, hey, maybe this stock is gonna about to go down. But I have rules to not short the first green day, and that's exactly what I did. I tried it 3 times and I felt uncomfortable, and that's probably why you blew up because these 52% insiders that were trading it knew exactly what they were doing, and I'm be trading every day, and I'm uncomfortable with the position I'm going to sell it. And if there would have been a stock that's just going to, but this is how short squeezes happen. They pretty much manipulate the ticker and they make it favorable that it's going to look bearish, and then they buy it back up like they did over here. They pushed it under 80 cents a bit, and it got scooped back up. Normally in a strong stock environment, it holds VWAP and then bounces right on it, but they put it under VWAP. You can see so here in the beginning with my cursor, and then rip back up to like pretty crazy. I mean, it was a big short squeeze trap, and I am a day trader. I buy and I sell, and I tried 3 times, and the news was fluffy, and soon enough the stock ran a lot, and I didn't really profit that much on the long side, but I did sleep bad that day, and I just didn't want to. When I sleep bad, I just don't trade. Maybe it's just a habit that I do have. So now coming into the ending of like my 30K actually winner, because Friday I did trade this short on, and this was the only stock that was actually up 30%. Couple of keynotes indication of how exactly everything happened. You can see so here that my pre-market scanner and my that you can look at below did not. There weren't that many over 30%. There was just GNS and Acon, which was not that interesting. So the stock, despite the fact that I did not wake up at 7:30, I actually woke up at 7, and it broke this 350 resistance from 4:30 in the morning. 350, 350, and the third time it broke 350. Pretty much spiked to 440, and it gave plenty of buy points over here. And then it took them 1 hour of consolidation, which I thought just gonna die off. So first off, this is my trade for, this is me just selling short at $4, and at 418. So I had about I had about a 9,000 share position at around 410, I would have to say. And I was down like 9K at one point. You can see so, start as short. So next time, if I were gonna start short again, it's probably gonna be a third of a size. I actually have a rule to not be, so my size was way a little bit higher than usual, but I managed to, be, sometimes you just gotta, I risked about 1 week's worth of trading, because you can see last week I pretty much made 13K, and this week I actually risked about, 9,000 shares, being down $1 a share. Actually, I was down $1.50 a share, so technically I was risking um I was down, so I was risking what I made last week in this trade here, and I ended up coming out on top by making, 3 weeks of work. 3 weeks of work. So last week I made 13K, and then I risked what I made last week to pretty much, pad my wallet a bit there. So if I had to do this trade over again, I probably should have covered at 460, but sometimes I do get stubborn. I did not get covered. I'm sure some those people at live stream, you can see so here that it tapped 460 one time, two time, and then the third time it just blasted off from 460 to 550. In the pre-market, there would have been like a 90-cent range there. But I felt I was a little bit uncomfortable being down at one point. I think I was down like over 10K here, but I managed to hold on to my cojones and I risked last week's work because that's how much I was up last week. And then I pretty much averaged up on my short and I had a 450 average. And I mean, the rest is pretty much history. I said in my live stream that, my target is going to be like 3 or 260 or 270. And soon enough, that's kind of like exactly what it did, despite this humongous squeeze that we had here at around 9 o'clock a.m. as people were chasing this up the wazoo. It ended up bouncing up of $3 actually at 280 was the low, and from $3 it bounced 20%, which was impressive. I didn't take advantage of it that short nor that long, but I was thinking of, hey, why don't you just cover and go long at $3? Because that would have been another 20% opportunity right there. If I had to do this trade again, I'll probably start with a smaller size and not add three times. If I add two times, do not add three times because I was sitting there for about I don't know how many hours. I was sitting from 7:15 up to like 9 o'clock, and I was sitting there trying to short this thing, and I was just feeling just drained and tired that this thing was not breaking down over here, and then finally blasted off to outer space and then came back down crashing. So this is a nice another short squeeze that happened here, and some buyers were just chasing up the wazoo. I had the right idea to short in this range. Probably my entry was a little too soon, and hopefully next time I will not get in trouble. Because if it'll be a terrible trade if I started short at 420, then got stopped out at 5, and then it came work for me. So I was a little too early on my short. I was pretty good on my idea. Pretty much start out with a third of a size here, and then and then like two-thirds of the size here, and then pretty much cover it here. That was a great trade overall. Other than that, that is all that I had to say for you guys. Pretty good. The only thing I like to improve next week is just not add so much size on this GNS trade. And it was a very very interesting trade, I'll have to say. It's trying to position myself at a short price and then buying it as well and as alerting it as well. And it was a tremendous opportunity. And I'm looking forward to find this opportunity next week because, you know, this is a nice 1,000% gain out of in 2 days. And and it's been pretty freaking quiet this whole week because you can see so here, like what exactly I was trading I was trading OTRK on Wednesday, and then I was trading Gap and Craps on Monday. So Monday, then OTRK. So it's very nice to see 1,000% gainers here like GNS. And that's how they happen. They either have really high. That's the reason I pretty much highlighted in red insiders, because the insiders will manipulate the ticker however they want, and they will just make it look like this, make it look like it goes up from 59 up to 66 and then loses like 80% of its gain in this big pop. So that's very bearish. And then big up, big down, and then it sat here for about 45 minutes of consolidation just above 68. You can see so here from 8:30 to 8:55, 45, 50, about an hour of consolidation before it actually made this tremendous move, and it trapped again under VWAP. And after that, it was it was squeezed because normally as a day trader, you don't want stocks to be holding VWAP above VWAP for like an hour. Definitely, definitely these manipulators knew what they were doing and how to trap shorts and how to have this short squeeze of a of a crazy market. This is a short squeeze I will remember, and I will document it as probably this is gonna go in the book of records. And other than that, that'll be it for me, guys. I will see if there's any questions in this live stream, and I will see you all in my next video. Peace out.